Alright, gotta cut fast, gotta cut fast. One more to go. Can I get to the back? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Whew. This is Hardspace ShipBreaker, a salvage game that some of you may recall I reviewed in early access some 2 years ago now. It's been on my mind ever since, and even more so recently with Star Citizen's own salvage gameplay finally on the cusp of release, like as soon as the end of next month in PTU. And that's because it's continued to stand out to me as an exceptional example of fun salvage gameplay done right. So naturally, when Focus Entertainment, the publishers of ShipBreaker, reached out to me to sponsor another look, as ShipBreaker just left early access last month, I was completely on board. So in this video, I'm going to reintroduce you guys to Hardspace ShipBreaker, taking you through how it plays and how it's been improved and added to since I last played. And then I'm going to follow up with how I think it could help inform Star Citizen's own salvage mechanic in the long term. If along the way you guys want to hop in and break your own ships, you can head on down to the description below where you'll find a link to the Steam store page. And this is also a great way to support the channel at the same time, if that's something you want to do. So let me set the scene a little bit here for you guys without spoiling too much of the story. In Hardspace ShipBreaker, you inhabit the body of an earthbound blue-collar worker hard on their luck and looking for opportunities in an overpopulated, polluted future dystopia. The story really begins, though, when you've been accepted by the Lynx Corporation, who runs a salvage operation in Earth orbit. It seems to pay well, but like all gigs these days, it has a pretty hard catch. What? You're charging me degaussing and delousing even though you killed my original body? And you're... Oh, are you serious? I get it. So Lynx is pretty much Hurston Dynamics in this universe. Unlike Star Citizen, ShipBreaker's focused on two major things: shipbreaking and the story of the shipbreaker. And it does both of those things surprisingly well. In this more released version of Hardspace, you've got a couple more modes to work with, starting with Open Shift, which is a much more relaxed version of the game, where you've got unlimited time and oxygen to complete your salvage, and you've got unlimited lives should you die. However, if you want to step it up a bit, you can move up to Standard, where you have unlimited lives, but you have limited oxygen and time to complete each salvage. Beyond that is Limited, where you've got a maximum amount of lives, and then beyond that is the truly hardcore mode, which is no revival. That's exactly as it sounds, you can only die once. After you've chosen a difficulty, you'll be able to play a couple of other different game modes, like Free Play, where you're able to salvage any type of ship that you've already earned in the career mode. And something else I don't recall seeing last time I played, which is a race mode between you and your friends who also have the game, so you can test your salvage abilities against your friends, which is kind of cool. Unfortunately, since I'm playing the development branch here, I don't have the option to do it just yet. And lastly, before I jump into a game, this is a small thing for some of you, but a big thing for me. They updated the graphics options to allow you to change your resolution. So now I can play in ultra-wide like the gaming gods intended. Once you've chosen your preferred level of difficulty for your career, you'll end up in a hab where your story will begin, where of course your first task will be to salvage your first ship. Each ship though is procedurally generated, so you'll never have a ship that's exactly the same, and that means that you're constantly on your toes on how to properly and safely dismantle a ship without dying or severely damaging your salvage. And this all gets a great deal more difficult as you progress to the higher levels. Once you've chosen your ship and you start your shift, you'll end up in the salvage bay, where you have to worry about a couple of things. The 15-minute shift timer, which when it expires you're kicked back to the hab, and the amount of salvage you're able to accomplish in a single day. Ideally, you want to get to the first tick mark here within a single shift, otherwise you're going to start losing money depending on how efficient you are. To help you break ships, you've got 4 basic tools to help you get the job done, which can be upgraded over time to give them additional functionality and power. The first one's the grapple gun, which allows you to pull heavy objects off wrecks and to move them around. But of course, you can also use it to help move yourself around in ShipBreaker's Newtonian microgravity environment, helping you be a little bit more efficient. Upgrading it allows you to also pull bigger objects, and eventually you'll be able to use limited use tethers, which can be employed and act independently of your own assistance, pulling even heavier objects than you would otherwise be able to do. The other major tool on your belt to get stuff off the ship is the cutter, which has 2 functions. The first is the stinger, which is a single beam and helps you precisely target specific areas, followed by the split saw function, which allows you to cut a wider area more freely and quickly. However, the split saw carries the additional risk of unintentionally cutting valuable or dangerous components, which can sometimes lead to results that are a bit more severe than financial penalties. To help you avoid making unfortunate mistakes, you also have a scanner, which can help you understand where to cut and what not to cut, like letting you know if a wreck is compressed or not. And finally, you have the addition of the demo charges, which are new as of the most recent release, which can be used to cut through tougher alloys or allow you to dismantle an unsafe component from a distance.
Salvage goal obtained.
How you use these tools will affect your efficiency, along with how you manage your oxygen, thruster fuel, expendables, tool health, and how you strategize taking apart the ship itself. Because ShipBreaker Salvage isn't as simple as just knocking off a piece and throwing it into a recycler. You've got 3 different areas you need to store things depending on the item that you're taking off, such as thrusters, which need to be put on the barge as they can be reused. Whereas complex items like nanocarbon hull plating need to be put through a processor, leaving the most simple of items to be thrown into the furnace to be melted down and reused as just a basic alloy. Damaging items by accidentally cutting them or destroying them on their removal or sorting them improperly can result in significant loss, which is represented by the red bar opposite the profit bar at the top of the screen. Damage it too much and you won't be able to unlock the upper levels of rewards for a given ship. How all of this plays out, though, through the different and progressively more difficult ships is exciting and sometimes nail-biting. The way the music begins to change as you approach danger heightens the tension and increases the sense of relief that you get when you solve a difficult problem. And what they really get right here is that there isn't just one way to solve a problem. You can go at it in many different directions, and sometimes you'll even discover a clever way of using more than one tool at once to increase your yield or to solve a difficult issue in a lot better of a way, which just feels satisfying. Hardspace ShipBreaker constantly presses you to think up better solutions, especially when you're faced with dangerous components like nuclear reactors, which feature stuff like radiation and also have a super narrow window for when they can be salvaged before they go critical. Cutting the wrong thing at the wrong time can also make your job a great deal more difficult, so measuring twice and cutting once is definitely the rule of the day. In terms of what's specifically new though since leaving early access, is probably all the new ships and mechanics that they've added in that adds just a lot more flavor to the experience. I especially enjoy the demo charges, which I'm actually still trying to figure out how to use in clever ways. Maybe the biggest difference though between when I last played and now is the story. Not only is there one since I last played, but now it's got 3 acts, and they just added the last one as of the last big update before it went out of early access. And I don't want to spoil too much of it for anybody watching here, but it does a really good job of keeping you engaged as you go through the different classes of ships and progress through the game's story. And I like how they also added into the story the ability to build up your own ship that's gifted to you pretty early on. You basically have to look through the wreckage to see what you want to kind of borrow from links to add onto your own ship so that you can eventually find a new life out there in the stars. Maybe it's kind of hinting towards a sequel or something? I don't know yet, I haven't finished the campaign so I can't say. There are countless other things that they've also done that I don't have time to go over in the video, but suffice it to say they've made a lot of tweaks, bug fixes, and improvements that make the experience a lot better than when I last played, including a highly requested community feature to save ships. So whether or not you bought it way back when I first recommended it when it was in early access, or if you're new and you just discovered it today, I still think it's a really solid game to check out if you're into this sort of thing, because I certainly have had a ton of fun with it and even had some trouble getting this video done because I ended up recording more footage than I probably needed because I just enjoyed playing the game so much. But if you're like me and you're a big Star Citizen fan and you've noticed how there's some similarities in this game to Star Citizen, you can kind of see where I believe that Star Citizen and Cloud Imperium Games, the developers of Star Citizen, could learn and benefit from this gameplay loop. Now, that's not to say that they have to copy this or they should copy this exactly, because let's face it, Star Citizen is a much broader scope game, and they probably shouldn't develop too much time to a single profession like what Hardspace ShipBreaker is doing right here. And I don't even think it's even that practical, because for them to be able to break down ships this far in Star Citizen would require a lot more development time for each ship that they have in the game. Rather, what I think that they could get from this is the idea that perhaps there are different types of items that need to be salvaged differently, so that there's a little bit more interest in the salvage mechanic of Star Citizen. Further, I like the idea of being able to cut off pieces of the ship just in general to salvage bits that I want. I think that's a great way to do things. And then I also like how they've got all these different tools for making salvage easier. If you've been following Star Citizen and you know about the mining gameplay that they have in the game, they've really expanded that out quite a bit with hand gadgets and different mining ships and tools. You can see how they could expand Star Citizen to kind of include what they've done here in ShipBreaker to make that experience a lot more in-depth. Because as you can see from this game, salvage can actually be a heck of a lot of fun and its own minigame, much the way that mining is currently in Star Citizen. But I also hope that they bring that component of danger into the gameplay as well, because in mining, for example, if you overcharge a rocket, it can explode and kill you and blow your ship up. But I'm not quite sure how they're planning to do this similar level of danger for salvage mechanics. I can see how maybe salvaging a reactor or a component could be really dangerous and something that you need to go through a special process to actually remove without damaging the component, the ship, or yourself. So in general then, just the same as I really hope that you guys check this game out, I hope that CIG does too, because if they're looking for precedent, I think this is the one. This is the game that CIG should look to help inform a fun gameplay mechanic. But what do you guys think? Did I miss anything here that you think would be great to add in for salvage? Do you like this idea? And how do you think they could involve ships as part of this mechanic? Because ShipBreaker doesn't actually involve any ships. You're only ever in your spacesuit, so it's a very hands-on approach. So let me know down in the comment section below. And again, if you guys are interested in checking this game out and you want to support the channel, do not forget to go down into the description below and click the link to the Steam store page so that you can support me that way. Otherwise, guys, I've been Morphologist. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.